everyone, and welcome to episode 9 of the EarthtonesGirl podcast. My name is Denise, and I am coming to you today from my home in Yonkers, New York, where I live with my husband and our 2 children. You can find me on the internet as EarthtonesGirl. I am most active on Ravelry. I am most active on Instagram. I haven't done this in a little while. It's been 2 weeks. I am most active on Instagram, and I'm very, very happy to say, for those of you who have been following me for a little while now, I have all of my 2018 projects, there are 3 so far, up on Ravelry. I'm doing pretty good so far, guys. So welcome to any returning viewers. Welcome back. I'm so happy that you are here with me today. And if you are a new viewer and new to the podcast, then a big, huge, warm welcome. I'm so happy that you've decided to spend some time with me today. I am so happy to be back here. It's been a really long 2 weeks. I'm happy to say that I have reassimilated into life after Vogue Knitting Live, and I can't believe that was 2 weeks ago already. That is just incredible to me. It feels like ages ago. But we're all settled back in, and I was hoping to get a podcast, one more episode in before the end of January, but this plague, and I don't really say that lightly, that seems to have hit the world lately, or hit the United States, this flu. Fortunately, none of us had the flu, but we did have very bad colds last week, so I actually kept CJ home for a week, and Kira wasn't feeling well for 1 or 2 days, so I kept her home as well. It's just, both of them have been tested, everybody's fine. It was just so scary for a little bit. CJ had a fever. It went up to about 101.9, not terribly high, but he was having some trouble breathing one night, and my husband Chris and I just literally sat on the floor in his room and stared at him for about a half hour almost 45 minutes, just to be sure that his breathing evened back out, because our house is not that big and our room is right across the hall from the kids. But if anything happens during the night and I'm sleeping, I can always hear them call me, but I'm not going to hear if his breathing changes, and that really scared me. And we've sort of gotten rid of a lot of our really baby paraphernalia, so we don't have a monitor. So yeah, that was a little nerve-wracking, but again, everybody's feeling much, much better, yay. So we are back on track with our podcast, everyone, so let's talk knitting. So I am really happy to say that the fire that was lit under me during Vogue Knitting Live this year is still burning. I'm very dedicated to my projects. I've been semi-monogamous. I usually have about 2 to 3 projects going at once, so I don't like many more than that, because then I start to feel overwhelmed. I'm not one of these creative people that can work in a mess, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but can work with lots of stuff going on and lots of projects laying around. That overwhelms me. I don't do anything. I won't touch anything. So it's a little easier for me to have 2 or 3 projects going at once, so I actually get a lot more done that way. So I'm happy to say that I've gotten 2 pairs of mittens / hand warmers done. So I've got 2 FOs for you and 1 half-finished object, a hoe. So we will cover all of that. I'm so happy to share all of this with you guys. So let's get started. First up you know what? I'll be right back. I'm back. And I'm ready with my first finished object. But before I show that to you, I'm sure I'm going to get a question about what I'm wearing. This is actually the Notre sweater from Interweave Knits. I don't remember which issue, which year. I will try to find that and put that in the description box down below for you. It's also made out of blue sky. Oh, wait, there was a peek. It's made out of Blue Sky. It's now called Blue Sky Fibers. Back in the day it was Blue Sky Alpaca, and this was their worsted yarn, and it's just, look at that. It is a double moss stitch in the sweater with the collar. Here, I'll stand up so you can see it. not too long. I can't really get all of me in there, but it hits me like just maybe 6 or 7 inches or so below the waist. So that's what I'm wearing today. And since you've already seen a peek, let's just jump into it. Here is my first finished object, you guys. Here, let's pull the sleeves down. Unfortunately, I just realized it's bumping into my watch. Let's take that off. That doesn't look nice. Okay, so that's off, but here it is. Here they are. Aren't these just amazing? I love them. Here they are. These are, the name of this pattern is Rhinebeck is Calling. Look at the detail on these. I hope the camera can pick that up. Look at that. Rhinebeck is Calling Fingerless Mitts. That is the name. And this gorgeous pattern, here is the palm. This gorgeous pattern was designed by Kay, the crazy sock knitter. Nope, sorry, Kay the Crazy Sock Lady. Forgive me, Kay, I'm so sorry. I'll have that down here, the proper pronunciation. And she's also the host of, oh, are you serious? There's the phone. I'm sorry, you guys, all the cell phones. Anyway, so here we go. Kay is also the host of the Crazy Sock Lady podcast on YouTube, so you really should go and check her out. She is just absolutely lovely. I love watching her podcast. And she put out a call one day for test knitters, and I jumped on it because I thought, you know, if I can get a head start and get something done for Rhinebeck now, that would be amazing. So once again, here they are. I'll do these really slow. Oh, is that a little fuzz on there? I'm sorry about that. Okay, so here's the back. And this pattern was so quick and easy. It's a 6-row repeat. Doing this off the top of my head. I believe it's a 6-row repeat on the lace pattern. It's just absolutely gorgeous. The setup of this is beautiful. It has the 2x2 ribbed cuff, and you just bind off for the thumb, which is really nice. So you don't have to worry about knitting the thumb. So that's another reason why they go so fast. But oh, I could stare at these all day. Oh, that fuzz just keeps traveling. Sorry. I love these. They are super, super comfortable. And she did the Jenny's Super Stretchy bind off for the top of the mitt. And it is just perfect. You know, I'll take it off so you can really see how stretchy that is. See how quick that bounces back? And look, it's so stretchy, you guys. It really lives up to its name. It's just amazing, and I will try to put a link to that bind off in the description box as well. The pattern is beautifully written. It is now out and available on Ravelry, so if you have a chance, please go over and check it out. And the yarn that I used for these things are really warm. It is warm in the house right now. I'm dressed for outside. It's so chilly here today. It's really, really windy and cold, so I may just keep these on. The yarn that I used for these is Sanquine Gryphon. I hope I'm saying that right. And the colorway is Bronze Moth. Unfortunately, I bought this yarn, my goodness, more than 10 years ago. It's been in my stash. And I know that the company is no longer in existence. And I think the yarn has been discontinued. You might be able to find some in D-Stash on Ravelry, so it will be worth going there and having a look, but they're just beautiful. I love them so very much. So there they are. And just a question, I do not block, many times I don't block my accessories. I know I'm gonna get that question too. Hats I don't block, socks, mittens, gloves. If it's a colorwork pattern, I will definitely give those a little bit of a soak just to make the stitches bloom a little bit. But something like this, yes, it's a lace pattern, but once you put it on, your hand is sort of doing the blocking, so I don't really feel that additional blocking is necessary. And I'm always worried that the blocking is going to, what's the word? I guess remove some of the elasticity or some of the stretch in the tops and bottoms. I mean, that could just be my imagination, but I rarely, like I said, I very rarely block accessories like that. So that is my first finished object, you guys. Let's look at them again because they're just so pretty. And I love them so much, and super, super warm. The yarn is really soft. This only took, I had 100-gram ball, and I really should weigh these. You know what? I will put that on the screen how much yarn I actually used for these. It's not very much at all. It looks like I barely put a dent in the ball, so you don't really need very much. Even if you had some leftover yarn, you might be able to get away with it. Maybe a mini skein, you might be able to, but again, I'm going to weigh these and I'll put that down there for you. So this is first finished object, official finished object of the year, started and completed in 2018, so I'm very happy. So there we go. And let's just keep going on to number 2. Before I go on to number 2, I just wanted to say that Kay very, very generously donated a copy of the pattern to the podcast. That just makes me feel so official. That people have donated yarn and are donating patterns now. I've even had some enamel pins donated, and we'll talk about those in a second, by the amazing Andy of Andre Sue Knit. So I really feel like this podcast is like a thing. It's like real and legitimate, official, I don't know, but it makes me really happy. So thank you so much, Kay, for that. And I am thinking of a giveaway coming up really soon. I have a lot of new followers on Instagram and a lot of new subscribers here on the channel, and I am so happy about that. But I think I'd want to hold off and give the pattern maybe as a prize for a knit along, which I think is going to happen. I think it's time that we do that. So stay tuned for some information on that. Maybe by the next episode I'll have some more information for you. So let's move on to finished object number 2. I'm going to put one on. Actually, no, I'm going to put them both on. Okay, talk about really snug. My hands are going to be sweating in a second. Hold on, let's slip these babies on. If you follow me on Instagram, you've already seen these. You ready? You ready? Look at these! I'm so happy. These make me so happy. I saw these on Instagram and thought, oh yeah, I have to have these. I love my neutrals, as I've said in the last episode, as I've said multiple times. I love my garments and sweaters to be, even shawls. I don't knit shawls very often, but when I do, they're usually in neutral colors. I love my garments in neutrals, but my accessories, full on color. What I love about these is they're colorful but still muted. They're not super bright in your face neon, which I can't do that. That makes me dizzy. So here they are, and let's talk about, now there's a couple of things I want to talk about with these. Some people, I mentioned on Instagram that I wove in or knit in, and I should have changed it to say knit in my ends as I went along, and I did that. So that's where the join is, and as you can see, there is a tiny bit of a jog, but not much. And I know that once these have actually been blocked, like these I'll block, once these have been blocked, that slight little jog there, and I don't even know if I really want to call it a jog, but you can see where I've woven the stitches. The stitches have a slight, here, let me see if I can get a little closer. Let's pop one of these off. The stitches have a slight little, I don't know, they seem slightly out of line. That's what I want to say. I was thinking of the right word. So once these have been blocked, and I've done this with socks before, once I've washed them, that little misalignment goes away. So, oh, and I also did the really super, oops, dropped one, hang on. Sorry. I did the really long cuff. You had the option of doing a short cuff, which would have been, why do I have a rubber band around? Oh, no idea. Let's get rid of that. So you had the option of doing a really short cuff, which was not really short, but it was only 20 rows, so it would probably be about here. Or you could do 40 rounds and get the longer cuff, which you can, of course, roll up if you need to, which also looks really nice. So there you go. So love these. So now let's talk technique. So I'm going to pop one of these off. Actually, I'm going to pop off both and turn them inside out so you can see. And I might do a little video here. I've put a link down. Now, I learned how to do, this is not me. This technique of weaving in the ends or knitting the ends in as you go along is not my idea. This is all Christina of who's the Cozy Knitter. And still have these ends to weave in, the tops and then the bottom. But as you can see, what happens here, as you are knitting along, you are basically catching the old color, and you're going to go in the opposite direction that you just came in to catch these. And then once you start with the new color and you get almost to the end of the round, you grab the tail end of the new color and you weave that in. Is that as clear as mud? I will try to demo this for you so you can see. Actually, I'm about to start the color, the stripes on a sock, which I'll show you in a little while. So I will do a little video so you can see how I catch the ends and weave those in. So when you do that, so you do it very loosely. It's just like catching floats when you're doing color work. You want to do it loosely, but then once you've started to knit up into the next color, you want to just give these two little ends. I mean, I've snipped them now, and I'll snip these a little closer. I just left them a little longer for you to see. You just give these a little tug, not too much, because you're going to get a little gap, a little spacing in here. So you give these just a little bit of a tug and then just keep knitting. And what that does, now let's look at the other glove, which I dropped again. So when you look at this one, what happens when you pull, here you go. What happens when you pull is it seems to, now this is what would happen. So basically your colors would line up like this, Yeah, so wait, you're coming around and your colors are going to line up like that. So the old colors on the bottom, the new colors on the top. What happens when you pull is they sort of shift. So you're pulling, when you pull the colors a little taut to close that gap, they tend to kind of come up a little bit closer. It's not completely joined. You do get a slight staggering, but it's not that big obvious jog. And it is just enough to make it almost unnoticeable when you're going along. And there you go. So when I really kind of pull this, and you can see once it's blocked, you're not really going to see it. Now, this little misalignment here with the stitches, that happens when you're catching the floats. So again, I'm going to show that on I'm pointing over there because I usually do my tutorials and little demos because the light's really good on that side of my sewing table. That's why I'm pointing over there. So I'm going to do a little video for you and I will include that here. Hello everyone. So here is the tutorial as promised. So as you can see, I have now cut the contrasting color. So I'm going to move that over and hold that in my left hand, like so. I'm going to drape that in front of the needle. I now have my new color to add, and I'm going to drape that. Leave a long enough tail so you can weave it in. Sorry you guys, I'm trying to, it's always so weird to do this on camera. So I'm going to drape that over the needle, and I'm going to come through with the first stitch. I'm going to go back in, I'm going to drop the new color, pick up, drop the tail, I'm going to pick this up, and now can you see that the contrasting color right here is coming over the working yarn? So I'm going to catch that. So I'm going to come through, then I'm going to go into the next stitch, bring that in front, catch this, and it automatically falls out of the way, and I'm going to go through. Now to secure it, again, can you see that it's over? I'm going to knit the next one, then I'm going to drape, hold on, I just have to rearrange that on my finger, then I have to bring this in front, again, bring this one over, and come through. I'm going to secure it by coming through. And you only have to do this about 5 or 6 stitches. The more stitches that you do this over, the more of those slightly misaligned stitches you're going to get. Again, depending, especially in a sock, it really doesn't matter because it's on your foot, and if anyone's looking that closely, then that's a whole other problem. So I wouldn't worry so much, but I usually go about anywhere from 5 to 8 stitches. So I'm going to do that one more time. I'm going to come around like this. So make sure the contrasting's in the front, or the old yarn. Come through, and then you want to secure it. It's already over, and just knit the next stitch. Okay, then you can just drop this one. I usually tuck this down inside of the cuff or down inside of the sock just to basically get it out of my way. And then I'm going to give a little tug and continue knitting. And there you go. So now I'm going to pause and I'll meet you on the other side. So as you can see, I have now knit across the first stitches, and there you go. It has been woven in. The old color, which is here, has now been woven in behind the stitches right across there. And now I'm ready to finish this off. So I've left about 8 stitches unknit. Here is the tail from the new color. I am going to bring that between the needles so that it is in this position. I'm going to drape that up and over my finger. I'm going to take the working yarn, and it's the same thing. You're going to go up through here. So now I've got both of the needles. I've got the contrasting yarn, or the new yarn, the white yarn, over the needle. I'm going to come in, and it falls to the back. Now again, to secure it, just going to knit the next stitch. Then I go into this one, drape that over, knit the next stitch, and it automatically falls into place. Again, to secure it, it's right there. You have to knit the next one. Oops, hold on. Knit the next one. Okay, and then I'm going to keep doing that until I get to the very end. Now, I think Christina's video is much clearer than mine, so definitely have a look. Everybody learns a little differently. This one may work for you, hers may work for you, but I'm just happy that you now have 2 sources to go to. And now, as you can see, the tail here is right into position to be locked in for the last time. So I'm just going to lock that in, and now I'm done. So when I pull this through, now as you may remember, I work on 2 circulars. You see this big giant gap, and you've got all of, let's see if I can get the needles out of the way. You've got this big gap, and you've got all of these strands hanging. So what I'm going to do is take the tail and give that a very gentle tug. Then I'm going to find the other end, give that a little tug. And you can kind of tell when your stitches are tight enough, a little more. And when you look at it, well, that's the working yarn right there. So let's tug that one. And when you look at it, there is no jog. There you go. Everything is complete. Everything's been joined. There is next to no jog. You can see that some of the stitches, you do have that little staggering there, that little misalignment in the stitches, but as I said before, that will just come right out once these are washed, and your yarn is secure. You can snip. You can just give this one a little snip. Once you come back around, just push this through. You could even pull it through right now if you like. You can just pull that through. That gets tucked down into the bottom, and then you can snip your ends. So your ends have now been woven in, and you are good to continue knitting. Hope that helps everybody. And you'll see exactly how this all works. I know I'm kind of saying things over and over, but I want you to really understand that it will come out. And again, that doesn't bother me that much. Even unblocked, that really doesn't bother me very much. It can just be a design feature. There's a way to put a spin on everything, you guys. So there you go. That is how that's done. And it is a relatively rapid decrease to get the rounded top of the mitten. So I now have this. Here, let's put this back in profile there. So here you go. So here, this one's inside out. There you go. And here's the other. So let's turn these back in. And I have to thank my friend, my dear BFF, Carolyn Bloom, who is Bloom Handmade Studio on Instagram. I totally stole this idea from her. When she cuts all of her ends from various projects, she puts everything in a little bowl, and just because it's really, really pretty, you can add them to bird feeders in the spring. Actually just leave them out for the birds. Sometimes they can make nests from them. So I just decided to have a little bowl with all of my ends. Isn't that pretty? And it just sits right up here. Oh, I still can't do it. It sits up here, There we go. It sits up here. And I just keep it up there and I toss my ends in as I go. So thank you so much for this idea, Carolyn. I just absolutely love it. So that sits over there. And again, I will insert a video for you. I hope that was helpful. If you need any more information on this, I will put the video, but I do recommend you going and having a look at Christina's video, because that is also very, very clear, very thorough. She goes over how to trap the floats and everything, so that would be helpful for you as well. So you have two sources. So let's keep going. So I am doing these mittens, and actually, unofficially, I've joined the Year of the Mitten Cal, and that is being hosted by Treehouse Knits. I'm blanking on her first name. Forgive me. She may even be watching this. I'm so sorry, but I'll put your name down here. Forgive me, I'm blanking. I feel sometimes like I rush through my podcast, which is not good, but it's just the time that's allotted to me. I'm trying to get a lot of information in here, and I don't have a lot of time, as I've said before, so I apologize for any blips and ums and anything else that you might hear. I'm sort of thinking as I go along, so that is what that is. I hope that doesn't really bother anybody too much. So let's keep going. Oh, I was saying that this Cal, you know what, I'm going to pause and look that up because that's really bad. Hold on a second. Okay, I went and checked. It's Rachel. I should have trusted myself because I had Rachel in the back of my mind and just didn't want to make a mistake. So Rachel of Treehouse Knits is hosting, along with Patricia of P4Chen. That is her handle or her name on Instagram. They are both hosting the Year of the Mitten Cal, so I have unofficially joined that. So right now I've got 2 mittens. I don't know that the goal is to knit a pair of mittens a month. So I've got 2 now under my belt. I'm not sure, I'd have to go back and double check the details of the Cal. I'm not sure if they have to be full mittens or if you can do hand warmers or gloves. I'm not quite sure, but you can go over and have a look at that. I will put a link to their Ravelry page in the description bar. Yeah, so that is what I'm doing. Now I do have another mitten in progress, a work in progress to show you, but I'm going to hold off because I want to show you the half object first, and then we'll keep talking mittens in a second. So let's get right into it. Here is my hoe. That always feels naughty to say. So here it is. This is my Hygge sock. Look at that. Let's pull back so you can see that whole thing. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, I love it so very much. This yarn is, the name of this colorway is Hygge by Christina of the Cozy Knitter, and I just love it so much. Look at those stripes. Aren't they beautiful? This colorway is just so, it really is Hygge. It's very peaceful, it's very soothing, very calming. I love the colors in here. Of course, I love this sort of camel accent. Ugh, it's earthy and lovely. It's earthy with a little bit of color. I mean, it's screaming me. I love it. That's why I love it so much. So here is the first. I have cast on for the second. Why does everything drop when I'm podcasting? So I have cast on for the second, and what I'm going to do in the demo for the weaving in the ends, I'm going to use this because I have to join in with the stripes. So you'll see how that works in a little bit. So there you have it. Here is sock number 1. I am still in love with my socks, but I'm definitely enjoying mittens right now. There's just something, they're fast. They're another canvas. I like to think of sock knitting. I've always described sock knitting in classes when I taught at a yarn shop in Tarrytown, Flying Fingers. And I actually went up there just this week, so I will insert some footage here. Oh, not so this way. Like, yes, what is happening? Good morning. What? Of their shop, and it's a lovely little yarn shop in Tarrytown, very cute. It has a little balcony. I like to sit up there and knit sometimes. So I was there and wanted to share that with you. I visited my old haunt and oh dear, I lost my train of thought. Totally. Oh, okay. So yes, I was talking about my color work and everything. Totally lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? I don't remember. Well, let's keep going anyway. Doesn't really matter. So here is my sock. We will put that here, and that is being housed in my gorgeous, I love this bag. I don't know if I showed this on the podcast yet, but it is being housed in my Madder Root Maine mini trundle bag. I love this. This bag rolls down and has the two little buckles here. And you just cinch it, and you can wear it on your wrist like this to knit. You can open it up. I'm almost sure I talked about this, but I love this bag so much that I'll just talk about it again. You can leave it open like this, and your yarn just feeds right out. So here's the front. Let me open it so you can see, with this gorgeous sheep here. And here are some of my pins. These are my newest ones. We have, let's hold this up. This is Legacy Fiber Arts. Right here, let's zoom in a little more. That's Legacy Fiber Arts. I love that one. And this little sheep, I've shown this little sheep before. This is by Twill and Print. And these two beauties, oh, I love these so much. These are by Andy of Andre Sue Knits. And this one, this says Bundle Me, or says Bundle Up. And this little one here says Knit All the Things. Isn't it gorgeous? I hope that's zooming in and you can see. I just love them so very much. And Andy, as I said before, very generously donated a second set of these. So I will have these to give away somewhere down the line. I'm so excited. And this bag is so well made. It's beautiful. Same fabric on the inside. And I just love it. So here is my project bag. So, you know what? Let's take a little break, and I am going to talk about my Selbu mittens, my work in progress. Before I talk about those, I keep referring to my notes. I'm a little scattered today. I hope you guys don't mind, but I'm having so much fun. So I just wanted to say that I have made a decision about my February socks. Thank you all so much. There were so many comments. I couldn't believe everyone was voting and talking about which of the 3 beautiful sets of sock yarn to choose from for February. And I decided to go with dun, 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 Heartbreaker. This yarn, again, this is also by the Cozy Knitter. Can you see that I am enjoying my stripes right now? These colors, there's just something about these colors. They're so muted and beautiful. Oh, I remember what I wanted to say before. I was talking about my socks. I am still participating in the Box of Socks Cal, and that is, the goal of that is to do 1 pair of socks a month. And I think that is very manageable for me. I've done, you know, I did 15 pairs last year. I did almost 17 pairs the year before, and that was basically just knitting socks. So I think if I can squeak in 1 pair a month, that will satisfy my sock craving and my need to have socks on needles. But it also it frees up some time for mittens. So I think this is shaping up to be, right now, as of right now, this is looking like mittens and socks and keeping all of the extremities warm. I'm just having fun. I'm having so much fun with my knitting, you guys. Can I just say that? Don't knit things you don't want to knit, people. Just don't. If you're not enjoying it, put it down, walk away for a little while. If you pick it up a second time and you're still not enjoying it, it hits the frog pond. Just rip this thing out. Don't even bother. It's okay. It's okay to rip projects out. And that was something else that I took away from Vogue Knitting Live, that it's the process, it's not the product. Although I did say I do want to accomplish a little bit more, just find that balance for yourself. And Kristy, it's all about balance and what makes you happy. And just this morning, Kristy Glass put up her video for today, and it was on Hygge, which I think I've talked about that a little bit before, but I'm not even going to try to explain what it is here. I will briefly say it is the Danish art of happiness, comfort, peacefulness, things like that. So you can go and explore that on your own. Have a look at Kristy's video from this morning. It's really short. It just touches on what her theme is for February, and she's focusing on Hygge for the entire month, which ties in beautifully with this sock. So basically by the end of the month we will have the other sock done and these socks, and this for me is also in keeping with the Hygge. there's color, it's beautiful, but it's muted and soft. Winter can be so harsh, and it's cold right now. The sunny days are few and far between, and there's just something so warm and comforting. Look at these colors, you guys. Look at that sort of mauve. And look, these are just gonna make the most gorgeous stripes. I can't wait to dig into this. And I refuse to cast these on until the second sock is done. So lots of fun sock knitting ahead for me. So go and take a look at Kristy's video talking about Hygge. I have been listening to one of the books. She refers to 2 books in her video, and I have been listening. I'm a big audiobook fan, so I've been listening to one of those books. It's The Little Book of Hygge by, his name is Meik. I know I'm going to pronounce that wrong if I try to say it. Watson is the last name. Again, I'll put that information down here. I'm sort of trying to remember these things off the top of my head, but I am listening to that audiobook, and it is wonderful. If you want to talk about a person with a Hygge voice, and a lot of you compliment me on my voice being very peaceful, and thank you so very much for that. I'm so touched every time someone says that to me. But this gentleman's voice is amazing. Oh my goodness. Peaceful, calm. He lilts every now and then to sort of stress a point, but he can be funny, warm. His voice just feels like a cup of tea. Does that make sense? It sounds like he's holding a cup of tea in his hand while he's speaking. I can't really explain it, but if you have a chance, if you're on Audible or you have a chance to listen to the book, it is really wonderful to listen to. And what I like about it too is you really get to hear how the Danish and Norwegian words are pronounced, because he is Danish. So the pronunciations are so musical and beautiful to listen to. I can't even begin to pronounce any of them. I mean, most of us struggle to just pronounce Hygge. So definitely, if you have a chance, go and give that a listen. So let's talk about my work in progress right now. I will go grab that. So in keeping with Mittens and with my renewed passion for colorwork, I have cast on the Selbu mitten by Skeindeer Knits. She has a mitten club that she did last year. It was September, October, November, December, but she put out there were 4 patterns in the club, but before she released it, she did an initial pattern called the Selbu mitten, and it is knit in a DK weight. All of the patterns are knit in DK weight, and I just fell madly in love with them. I did knit a pair of Selbu mittens, which I showed on a podcast much earlier. I will try to put a picture of that in for you, and loved them, but that was done on a very fine fingering, almost a lace weight yarn with double zeros. They took a while. I loved them, but they took a really long time. These mittens are incredible. I did the cuff the other night in almost, I don't even think it took me an hour to knit the cuff. It was so fast. I couldn't believe it. So here it is. That is the beginning of my Selbu mitten, you guys. Let's take a look at the other side. Let's zoom in a little bit. I hope that you can see. Is the camera gonna zoom? Please zoom for me. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Okay. I will try to take additional footage of this so you can see it a little bit clearer. And I'll put that in here for you as well. I love this so very much, but there's a but. This yarn, let's talk about the yarn because that'll explain what the but is. This yarn, which is this, isn't this amazing? It's just so gorgeous. It's by Magpie Fibers and Magpie Yarn, and I'm going to pull the tag out. Hang on. It's right here. Here is their gorgeous little tag, and this is their swanky DK. It is 80% superwash, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon, and this color, the cream color, is Fior de Latte. That's this color, and this one, I remember, I don't have to pull the tag out. This one is Rust in Peace, and it's got lots of oranges. There's a little bit of gold in there. It is very rusty. There's some grays, different shades of gray. It's just a absolutely gorgeous colorway, and I wanted, whoops, sorry about that little earthquake there. What I wanted to do for these, I didn't want the complete monochromatic black and white, which is very traditional for Selbu mittens. I wanted to do a variegated color just to make it look a little more interesting, and I love it. I absolutely, absolutely love the effect so much. I think it's beautiful. The problem, I think, is the yarn. It's too soft. I don't really know how to explain. I may keep going with these just to see how this knits up because I'm so madly in love with the colors, but the yarn is too soft. I'm not sure if it's the cashmere that's doing it. Like you can see here, right in here, that is not part of the design. That is basically my floats are showing through the yarn, and I've not ever had that happen before with other yarns that are a little toothier. And by toothier, I mean they have more fibers coming off of the individual strand. Like if you can see, if you look at this strand, it's fuzzy. It looks fuzzy, but not really that fuzzy. It's actually very, very smooth. It's a very smoothly plied yarn. But if you look at some other non-superwash yarns, they've got, the fibers are a little more grabby. These are really technical terms, you guys. So basically they lock in. If you have the stitches lined up next to each other, they sort of lock together and you don't get that spacing in between. There's just something about the spacing on these, and it's not just there, like there's just little peaks coming through. And again, I don't think it's because of the sharp contrast in the yarn, because again, these mittens are traditionally done in black and white and very high contrast colors, but this is, I don't know, I feel like the stitches are sliding against each other. I don't know how to explain it. The yarn is very, very slippery also. I like a yarn for color work that grips my hands a little better. There goes the phone again. Hold on one second. Anyway, back to yarn. I was saying this yarn is sliding against itself. I think these yarns are absolutely gorgeous. I love them. They are butter soft. I'm thinking this may end up being just a pair of mittens. Just maybe I'll do, I don't know, stripes or just solid mittens with this, and maybe a hat with this as an accent, maybe. I don't know. Do the hem in this? I'm not sure. I'm a little bummed because I really did want this yarn. I have 2 skeins of the cream and another skein of this in a different colorway called Wood Smoke. Love them. They're gorgeous. But to be honest, I'm just not sure that they're really right for this project. So I may keep going with this one just to see. I don't know. What do you think? Should I keep going? Again, I'm happy to rip them out. I'm really loving the color, and I'm trying to decide whether the color is motivation enough to keep going. Maybe once they're blocked, if I keep going, maybe once they're blocked, they'll bloom a little bit more. I may stick with it and see, because this color is just incredible. Yeah, maybe I'll keep it on and just see. What's the worst? I'll just knit them again, because the pattern is really quick in the DK. So I might just knit them again in a different yarn. And I'll have more mittens for the Cal, and maybe even some mittens to give away for Christmas. The yarn hoarder, Amber, who is the yarn hoarder, she's already started her Christmas knitting for 2018. Oh my gosh. Actually, you guys, I think that's really brilliant, because come November, I always say to myself, okay, I have to start my Christmas knitting, and next thing you know, it's Christmas Day and I've gotten next to no knitting done because of the chaos of the season. So it may not be a bad idea to start and knit some of these mittens and socks and everything else. And then if I don't have any other gifts, I can give some of these away, because how many pairs do you really need? And we're going to talk about that later. Oh, and I'm also doing the Yarn Love Challenge on Instagram, so come and check that out. It is a photo challenge for the month of February. She's done them for various months. I did the challenge last February, and that was really fun. So I decided to do it again. I decided very last minute, like last night, and found a picture that Paige, the framer, who is an amazing knitter and friend. I will put her information. She has a podcast as well. And she took a really great picture of me at Vogue Knitting Live. I loved the picture. The lighting was great. It was like she just captured a moment. So I used that picture late last night, and I am joining the challenge. So if any of you are interested in that, come on over, because that's going to be really fun on Instagram. And it's a nice way too for you to get to know me a little better, because each day has a prompt. So you are given a prompt or a theme for the day, and then you take your picture or answer the question based on the prompt. So that's another way of getting some more information out about me or even about yourself. So if you're interested, come and join in. So I think that's all I have today for knitting content. I did want to show you a sewing project. So I'm going to go grab that for you. Hang on one second. I talked in my last episode about wanting to sew a little bit more this year. I did next to no sewing last year, aside from project bags, but I want to get back into maybe a quilt block a month or every 2 months. I don't know, but I definitely want to spend some more time on the machine here. I've been neglecting her way too much lately, but I did what I'm calling a palette cleansing sewing project, and I'm so excited about it. I can't wait to show you. So as you could see on my project bag, there are some pins, but these, I don't want to crowd my project bags with all of my pins, and I have a lot of pins, you guys. I think just a little scattering of them every now and then is really fun on your project bag. And I do have the Fringe Supply Company field bags. I love those. They are wonderful, and that is the general canvas that people use to display their pins. But because I have so many, sometimes I just want to change them out, and there's only so much space on those bags. I could put them on the front and the back, but there is only so much space, and sometimes I'm just genuinely worried about losing the pins. I'm afraid they'll pop off or they'll catch on something as I don't know, getting it out of the car. It doesn't matter. I'm just always afraid that I might lose one. So for pins that are a little more special to me, that I want to put on my bag maybe for a photo purpose or for an event, I'll put the pin on, and then I want to take it back off. I also want to see my pins. Sometimes I don't have all of my project bags with the pins on them and out to see, and I want to see all of these really beautiful pins. So I made a pin banner. Are you ready? I love this so much. And this took about 5 minutes on the sewing machine. Here it is. Look at that. Let's pull back so you can see. Look at that, you guys. I've got my dowel in here, and there are my pins. And I just got a whole bunch in the mail, so there are some that aren't even on here. Right, this one's a little twisted. So let's zoom in, and you can see them. I'm just gonna go up here so you can see them all. Look at those. And I've got my sort of vintage, old-fashioned 1950s sailor guy mom pin down here, which I really love. There's my knitting girl with her chain and her little ball of yarn. That is another favorite of mine, my little mama bear pin. And there's my beautiful Elizabeth Zimmerman pin in the middle. And if my sister saw this, it would not be on this banner for very long because she's a huge sloth fan. So I'm not sure yet if I'm going to keep this one. This is from Shelly Can, and I purchased this at Vogue Knitting Live. Here is the other Vogue Knitting Live pin that I got this year. And there's my little Harry Potter pin, my Swish and Flick. I mean, just look at these, you guys. And then these two I really love also. These are my picker and thrower pins. And there is the Fat Squirrel and Cozy Knitter. Here is Sandy by the Lake, and here's Junk Yarns. Just love them so very much. There's Nitty City. There they are. So, oh, and I just got this one, this little pin here, and it says, I make, therefore I am. It's actually in Latin, but it means I make, therefore I am. How perfect is that? I love that pin so much. I was minding my own business one day on Instagram, fell down a rabbit hole, and now I have this pin. because that's what happens on Instagram. So here is my banner. I absolutely love it. There is still some room in here for a few more pins to add. And like I said, you can pop the pins off and put them on your project bag, and when you're not using them and you just want to see them, I will put them back here. I have a space on the other side of these shelves, just on the other side over there, and that is where this is going to hang. So once I hang that, I will show you how this whole area over here looks. And I love my sewing crafting area back here so very much. I sit here a lot. I will edit my podcast from here. I love this space. It's the first thing I see in the morning when I wake up. It's in my bedroom. I just love my space, and now I'm so happy to say that I can add this to it. Isn't it lovely? I love it. Oh, and the sewing, wait, I'm talking about the pins, but the actual sewing of this took no time at all. You're basically cutting, it is a piece of wool felt that I bought at Pearl Soho in the city, and I will put a link to them down below. And you basically cut this on the fold. So the top of I cut this out of a piece of paper, and I will put the link to this pattern down below for you as well. I found it on Pinterest, and all I did, I started here, I sewed around, I dropped down. This is about 3/4 of an inch so that I could fit a 1/4 inch dowel through here. So this depth of the casing is about 3/4 of an inch. Started here, I came all the way around, and I just sewed right around the edges at 1/8 of an inch. So I used my 1/4 inch foot and just moved the position of the felt so that I had 1/8 of an inch from the needle, and you just sewed around. It was one continuous line of sewing, and there it is. Let's hold it back so you can see. It's got a little bit of weight because these pins are a little heavy, but I love it so very much. So I will hang that. I used 3M hooks to hang this tea towel, so I will use another 3M hook with the appropriate weight, and I will hang that over there, and then I will show that to you all later. So here is my pin banner, my palette cleansing sewing project, my first one for the year, and it's functional, it's pretty, I love it. So I am going to try to keep this episode a little shorter. I am hoping to, now that we are all well again, and back on track and on schedule, and the kids are back in school, I am hoping to record a little more frequently. I'm not going to say out loud what schedule that will be. I'm maybe once a week. We'll see what happens, fingers crossed. And yeah, so that's what's going to happen. I have some more stuff to share with you, but I'm going to try, today's Friday, so I'm going to try to get another episode up for you next week, and we will go over some more stuff then. I will have some more finished objects for you, some more works in progress, some more yarn and acquisitions, pin and yarny acquisitions to share with you, just some other things that I'm pursuing. So I hope that everyone has a really great week. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Happy Friday, everybody. Thank you so very much for spending some time with me today. Thank you also for all of your comments. I am also very happy to say that I'm all caught up with my comments. So far, I'm keeping up with my goals for 2018. I wanted to be really more punctual with replying to comments to the channel. And I'm happy to say I'm doing pretty good with that. And comments on posts on Instagram, and my knitting goals, I'm feeling really positive. I have so much energy. I don't know if you can tell. I've just got so much knitting energy right now, and there's so much more that I want to share, but we can't put it all in one episode. So stay tuned for the next one, which hopefully I will bring for you soon. Again, thank you for spending time with me today, and have a really great weekend, everyone. You all are just, I've got the best subscribers, the best followers. You all are amazing. Thank you so very much, and I will see you all again very soon. Bye, everybody. Take care. Enjoy the weekend.